back, and in today's video, in a special episode of Rally On, I'm going to be talking about the WRC. The motorsport that I actually have, a belt buckle for. Now, the championship starts off next week. It starts off on Thursday next week with Rallye Monte Carlo. So, a week after this video comes out, we will know our first rally winner and our first championship leader. So in this video, what I aim to do is to make some predictions about Monte Carlo, make some predictions about the season ahead. Now first up, let's look straight to Monte Carlo, and my feeling is it's going to be a battle of the Sebs. Both of them in new cars for this season. Seb Ogier returns to Citroën in what I think is probably the best looking car in the service park this season, and Seb Loeb starts his first professional racing contract outside the PSA group with Hyundai Motorsport. Now, I honestly also believe that the Hyundai is the more competitive of the two cars. So I believe we're going to be seeing number 19 on the top step, or at least more likely we're going to be seeing number 1 on the top step. As for the other two podium places, I'd like to think that the other Seb would be there, though there might also be a chance that both of them do something similar to what they did in 2011 and push each other so hard that one of them makes a mistake. It's very weird because both of them are known for not making mistakes, but when they compete against each other, it feels very a la McRae and Mäkinen, where they would keep on pushing each other until eventually somebody went off. As for the rest of the field, I reckon it's going to be a Toyota in the top 3. Might be another second place, because Jari Matti's had the last 2 years second place, and then I reckon White could mount a challenge. But the problem with Monte Carlo, the problem with the first 3 rounds of the championship, to say, is that they're very much unique in some of the challenges they have. So with Monte Carlo, you have the problem of ice, so there's always a high attrition rate in Monte Carlo. Also, if you go off on Saturday, unlike in any other event where you can rally 2 into Sunday, you can't do that at Monte Carlo. Mind you, I think it was only in 2017 when Rally 2 was even available for Monte Carlo. Then of course you have Sweden, which is the only snow challenge, and then you have Mexico, which has altitude. Something which you sometimes get in Argentina, you might get it this year in Chile, but isn't something that we particularly think about in WRC events. Now, looking forward to Sweden, this is going to be amazing. Having Marcus Gronholm back in a Toyota Yaris. When was the last time he entered an event? It was back in, what, 2010? So, he hasn't competed in the 1.6 litre machinery. The testing looks amazing, and I hope that he gets at least a podium, if not challenging for the win. I know one of the big advertisements they have is in Boss versus, what do they call it? They call it the special one, don't they? Loeb. So it's going to be what we saw back in like 2006, 2007, where it was Gronholm versus Loeb for the title. Except even though Ford and Citroën are still in the championship, neither of them are going to be driving for either of those teams. One of them's going to be in a Hyundai, and the other one's going to be in a Toyota. That's going to be quite fun. Again, I reckon Loeb might do quite well. It all depends on how quickly he settles in, but by the looks of what happened in testing, Loeb's been making some good progress learning the car, even though he's only had 2 days in it. So I think he's going to hit the ground running. As for the third podium place, again, I'm not too sure. I think possibly Jari Matti. Maybe Oit, but Oit hasn't exactly had the best record in Sweden. Of course, Neville won last year, so he's likely to be competing up there. But of course, onwards we go further and further. And that's where we start to think more about the championship race. Now, the problem with some of these teams is they don't necessarily have the standout kind of championship competitor. Now, obviously Toyota, you'd be likely to say that Oit is, but Chris Meeks had amazing pace. I still believe that it was his best chance in 2016 to win a title, and if Citroën had put him forward for a full campaign, he probably would have been challenging for it. But at the same time, Oit could arguably be one of the stronger drivers there. I think Rallye Monte might come back though. Last season ended on a high for him, and he's hoping to get 2018 behind him. So 2019 I think is going to be a good year. And it's only going to be around the halfway point that we'll start to see which Toyota is going to be the championship challenger. As for Hyundai, it's almost pretty clear it's going to be Thierry Neuville, but Mickelson's changed his style again for this season. So here's to hoping that Car 89 delivers a good challenge. As for Citroën, their best chance is probably Ogier, but I reckon EP is going to be challenging for wins as well. And as for Ford, it depends on how much they're going to be putting a third car in. Like, Evans would arguably be the safer bet of the two drivers, though I think Sunderland started to come into his own element now, and Chile could throw a spanner in the works. And just quickly about that Ford third car, because we know that we're going to have Pontus Tiedemund in the third car for the first 2 rounds for Monte in Sweden. And we know in Portugal we're going to be seeing Gus Greensmith getting his top flight outing the first time. I'd like to see Citroën doing something similar. Of course, they've entered Ostberg into the third car in WRC 2 Pro, so it's not necessarily going to be the case that they're going to have that. And even then, Ostberg is running a car as prepared by someone that's not Citroën Racing. But I'd like to see them bring a third top 5 car in. Potentially some room for Craig Breen. They have Red Bull money now. Like, they don't have Abu Dhabi, but they have Red Bull on the side of their car. That should bring in some money to help them partially fund a third car at least. But in terms of the championship battle, I think it's relatively clear in the constructors. Whilst I think Citroën have done some improvements, the new rear wing setup looks quite impressive, I think they're still going to struggle at the start of the season. Feel like Ogier is going to be dragging the car around, much like he seemed to be with the Ford last season. Just because they can't put in the kind of development funding that Hyundai or Toyota are pouring into it. But I reckon there's going to be a close scrap between Ford and Citroën for third place, and I reckon it's going to be close at the top between Hyundai and Toyota. It really depends on how well Mikkelsen does this season, because if Mikkelsen starts off strongly, he won't have to play a supporting role. Then he could potentially be constantly up there. If he's in a good stride, he could be up there. He can fight for podiums. We know he can fight for wins. We know he can fight for even championships if he's got the right car behind him and if he's in the right mindset. So let's hope that he can do that for this season. I hope we see a winner from each of the teams again, because that's been amazing. But I'm going to raise it up a little bit. I'm hoping we'll see at least 2 winners from each of the teams. Now with Hyundai, that's interesting because they have 4 drivers, so that basically means only half their drivers have to win events. And with Loeb being in there, and Solo being in there, and Neville and Mikkelsen being full time, you'd say it was a pretty good shot for all 4 of them to win events. You could say all 3 Toyotas could arguably go in and win events. Mind you, I said that last season, and Lappi was still a good driver, even if he didn't rack up any wins. As for Citroën, like I said, with Lappi, both of them can fight for wins. And for Ford, I really want to see them do well. Because I'm just remembering back to, 2014, Elfin's first full season. He had a teammate that was Mikko Hirvonen, and the car still arguably underperformed, even with some of the best drivers. So I'm hoping that M Sport can take a step up. I'm hoping that Ford will pump in more money, and I'm hoping this is going to be the best WRC season we've seen in a long time. hoping it goes down to the final stage this season, honestly. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and hope to see you again soon. Bye bye for now.